Ali, Ali. Yeah. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise the Lord for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank the Lord for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7.
I, I can't hear you through my computer, but I can hear you on the phone. I'm getting this feedback.
Updated this thing here. Okay, I think it's there.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so praise be to Allah. Yeah, ever since I updated this Windows thing, it had been acting crazy with my audio on different platforms. So thank
Islam.
thank the brother Tariq Bey for telling me, because everything I just said, they didn't really hear. So, again, as we already, thank you, Sister Curta Bay, too. Again, having already risen, we continue to rise, giving praises to the great God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali Al Hajj, Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously, again, honoring yourselves. By being yourselves, we give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. I want to welcome our Moorish kin to another Moorish Perspectives. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazel. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawar Mintiel Muhajir Shepsuel. And most definitely have a grand drawing to bring forth to your family in the light of this grand subject in relation to dealing with our chapter for the week, weakness. And this is going to be a powerful demonstration, family, because we actually want to go into an active drawing, dealing with this weakness, and actually the weakness as it relates to, how our family structure, has come under attack. Because without a family, you can't build a nation, and without, a nation, then you must not have somebody that's national, so to speak. And a lot of the reasons why we fall by climbing, in fact, the fall has to do with the fact that, our universe, when it comes to our people, our nation, is come into a realm of chaos, so to speak. And when I say that, if we understand the nature in which cosmology functions, there's a divine and meiotic balance, a meiotic order as it relates to the way things operate, the order of operation. If we look into cosmology, just basic concepts, you always hear me talk about our sun, and the sun, being the central source around which the planet, revolves, so to speak, right? But yet, also, when we go into the essence of this special drawing, we understand that the sun reflects its light to the moon. And the moon, therefore, illuminates all of the other celestial bodies, so to speak, such as stars, that we see in our universe. And this is a function that our ancestors were able to pay attention to, in ancient Kemet. And this became, a principle that was actually adopted by every culture. Every culture had this principle within their cosmology. I don't care who it is, it all comes from Kemet as far as dealing with the first, and then you get into dealing with Mesopotamia, Sumeria, but each and every one of them had their own expression, of the deification of man, the deification of the goddess, the deification of even the family structure, i.e., we call it, those who had linked their will up with the deific will, the line that unites divinity and matter, divinity in matter, the line that unites divinity in matter. We say and matter, but I'm saying in matter for a reason. Because man is not the body nor the soul. You see? The master of the house is more honorable than its walls. And we're going to get into this in a minute. But I want to home in and really harp upon, this concept as man we see representing, as they would call him, a solar manifestation of the deity, embodying that type of power, so to speak. And the goddess would represent the lunar potencies. And then, the seed would represent the stellar energies and so forth and so on. And this was a representation of what we would call creation in the cosmos. So once we understand, and we see this in every culture, we already know if we go into Greece, when they deal with Apollo and, all the different aspects they go off into with that Zeus and, all of these things have to do with planetary expression, so to speak. It's the same thing if you deal with Astarte and Ishtar and, go into other cultures and you see it. You go into pre-Islamic Arabia, you see, the Alat and the Aluza. They was all trying to deal with the concept of expressing their so-called solar, lunar, and stellar personifications. And some went a little beyond the realms of what should have been demonstrated, so to speak, and they started getting caught up into the plane of things made manifest, to where they started getting into, even what we call God and goddess worship, as it has to do with worshiping things on the manifest. But this was not the original state. They even had a lot of yoni worshiping cults, phallic worshiping cults that were on the manifest, during these time periods that later came. And a lot of this came from foreign invaders who entered these particular centers or these cultures that had a rich history, a rich historical base, and they began to enter into these places with their foreign ideologies when they overtook and they overthrew, a particular place. You see, and so we want to home in on that particular drawing. In order for something to become corrupt, a nation to become corrupt, someone has to infiltrate that nation. Someone has to usurp the throne. And when they usurp the throne, then they can inject, that special civilization with basically poisons. And a lot of time, those of us who come later that are trying to tell the story, because it's impossible for us to really tell the story of our parents when we wasn't literally there. We have to go according to the historical records. And so what happens is we find ourselves falling by climbing even there when it comes to the insufficiency of knowledge. You see? So this is very important, family, because we're going to lead up into a drawing, that hopefully it'll allow us to keep our universe, within order, and it allow us, to become just as cherubim and seraphim has always been demonstrating as protectors and guides, and also become one with the spirit of the Almighty God, Allah. You see, this is very key. All that is on the manifest. That's your expression of your flag, your scimitar, your star. You see, in rotation. In all actuality, this is nature's expression. When you look at the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper in rotation, you hear me talking about it all the time. It was by this particular celestial activity that we were able to navigate. So therefore, we were under the protection of the great God Allah, i.e. through cherubim and seraphim, the spirit of the Almighty God Allah. I want to keep that in mind, family. Before I go any further into this especially draw and dealing with weakness, we're going to kind of go back a little bit because masterminds are able to trace themselves back. Thus they know, since we talking about the man and the woman, right? Art not thy desires also frail, or knoweth thou even what it is thou wouldest wish, when thou hast obtained what most thou soughtest after, behold, it contented thee not. Now, Ish and Isha didn't have to deal with that. That's what you see going across the bottom of the screen. Only Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, but Adam and Eve had to deal with that. You see? So in our subject, dealing with the ayat that we have on the manifest is truth is but one. Now we know that the great God Allah is truth. We know man is truth. So in that truth of the great God Allah and man, this is oneness. This is the grand idea that precludes to monotheism. Not just saying that the great God is one, but being one with him. And it is not just man, but we're speaking, i.e. the Moorish American National. MAN. You see, master of all nature. In other words, you got to know yourself. You see? But this is the grand ideal. The goddess, a God woman, is also the truth in her higher self when she is one with the great God. So in other words, the adhesion, or that which binds the two, Ish and Isha, is the fact that they are the truth. I heard our sister India Ree had a song, that she made. Y'all familiar with it if y'all listen to a little music. It's called The Truth. You should check it out if you haven't heard it. Powerful words in that especially. Draw it, family. Sister poured a lot of wisdom into that song. She said, he is the truth. He is so real. And I love the way he make me feel. And if I am a reflection of him, oh man, y'all got to go check it out. And it ain't got nothing to do with the carnal manifests. It's recognizing, the heights of divinity in herself and the particular one that she was one with. Now, going on in our ayat, it says, thy doubts of thine own raising. He who made virtues what they are. Now, he is talking about the mother of virtues, right? Harmony, balance, right, order, and justice. Justice, mercy, love, and right. These are virtues. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are virtues. He who made virtues what they are, planted in thee a knowledge of their preeminence. So this is a package deal. You come with this. You come with a soul, or shall I say a guard, in which these seeds of divinity are planted. And you come with the knowledge on how to deal with the cultivation of those seeds, the nourishment of those seeds, to make sure that they come into fruition and they grow and they unfold just as the bud unfolds to show the flower. So it says, act as thy soul dictates to thee. Now, it ain't talking about your desires, the nerves, because you got different levels of the soul. You got, remember, bestiality, consciousness, and felicity. In the Arabic, nafs amara, nafs lawama, nafs mutmaina. We already know mutmaina is felicity. We know lawama is consciousness. And we know amara, which deal with the commanding, the urges of your desires. That's the animalistic part of you. You see? So what you going to do? You going to act as if that dictate to you, or you going to act as if the love thought dictates to you? your ability to think, will, reason, understand, and remember. You see, your origin. It says, act as thy soul dictates to thee. This is the soul that's properly being guided and driven by the spirit and divinity. And the end shall always be always right. If you're letting the great God drive you, if you're letting the truth that is one guide you. See, there's no room for doubt. And that's one of the main things that has been weaponized against our people. Doubts, uncertainties. You see, disappointment, discontentment. These are all upon the tree springing up its roots that manifests, limbs of doubt. But they are of thine own raising. Just as you have the ability to cultivate the soil and plant the seeds of the immortal virtues in relation to dealing with the soul, when one is outside of their higher self, whether they know it or not, they plant seeds of doubt, and these seeds of doubt are also of your own raising, based upon the way that you have cultivated the soil of your soul. You see, this would dictate what is dictated to you, be it of the higher self or the lower realm of vibration. So we're going to get into some measures, and we're going to talk about the fall of man. When we talk about the gratification of the lower self, the gratification of the desires, all this has to do with weakness. We got some grand measures to bring on the manifest, family. We have to understand that the first God man and God woman was spirit. But when it comes down to dealing with the physical, your Adam and Eve, not Steve, this Adam and Eve is where all of the conflict came in. This Adam and Eve is where all hell broke loose, so to speak, right? We're going to get into that in a minute. That's why we are told that the descendants of Adam and Eve are Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. This is solely speaking to that manifest mindset where this thought pattern was born, so that these foes can express themselves and find a way to become embodied. Instability, inconstancy, insufficiency of knowledge, misery, weakness. All of these come and manifest as a result and have more of an effect upon the descendants of those who are solely manifest when it comes to dealing with being physical. And they don't recognize their spiritual self. They don't recognize the divinity within them. They don't recognize the God within them, brothers. They don't recognize the goddess within themselves, sisters. So they're dealing with the plane of things made manifest, and they fall by climbing. So this is how Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast personifies itself. This is how that new slave master, slave breaker, slave catcher, slave holder is manifest. They all represent that LSD, D, and B vibration, as opposed to that LTPF and J vibration. Because either you being guided according to one in the oneness, or you being guided according to another and many others. So when we go into this special drawing, Morris Ken, this is a very powerful measure we get ready to set out right now. This right here gonna help you set your house in order. Even if you already think you got it in order, all I can say is Allah's leading on and victory is sure. But we're gonna make sure we set them in order. in regards to dealing with this thing. First house we have to set in order is the self, because we are not responsible for the actions and deeds of other people, family. Many of us want to save the world. Some people call them Captain Save them. But many of us want to save the world, right? And some people just don't want to be saved. And you just got to be willing to accept that. Like our chairman say, some of our people, when it come down to dealing with this teaching, the hardest thing is that we have to accept is some of our people don't want the truth. And the mind will never accept what it's unwilling to receive. I'm going to say that again, Morris Ken. In the realm of thinking, the mind will never accept what it's unwilling to receive. You see? And that's just being straightforward. So, understanding Ish and Isha, we understand that Ish was God man. Isha was God woman. This is before there was a physical garden, a geographical location that we call the Garden of Eden. Ish and Isha was present. This is what we call flesh divine. This is what we call spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. There was a union already there. The twin flame effect was already there. And in each base of a family, we all brothers, the Ish in us, has a journey of meeting the Isha. You see, and we like to call it marriage, or we like to call it the marriage tie and bonds, and we understand the difference between that and bonds of straw. We understand the difference between that and adulterous, fornication, and all of that type of behavior, right? So that's why this chapter right here is very powerful, because we're going to get into a whole lot of measures on here. But you got to know how you're made. You got to know who you is. Remember, they'll tell you where we say, well, who are Adam and Eve? Question 57 in our questionnaire. They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. There's a reason why that emphasis had to be made, because we know being Asiatic is simply being earthbound. That's the part where Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, beast get all up in there. You see, it don't mean nothing wrong with being Asiatic. It's just saying when we get caught up in the manifest and we just earthbound in our thinking. Because even in the concept of Asiatic, if we go on a divine wordplay, we can say, well, Asia is the body, Attic is the mind. Because the attic is the highest thing in the house. It's a storehouse of wisdom, so to speak, right? So what you store within your storehouse of wisdom will determine the outcome of your experience in this life. Asiatic, So if we get up in the attic, we call that a chamber, right? So that's a part and partial of you. This earthbound body. Remember, there's a garden placed in the earth. There's a geographical location, and then there's a seat of consciousness. We want to get into that seat of consciousness, because that weakness, it don't necessarily have an effect on the physical as far as dealing with the earth itself. You being weak ain't gonna stop the earth from being the physical earth, the geographical location. Now, when you get into the inner self, as you being the physical earth, and then that which is within you, the garden which is within you, there's the difference between, two different extremities. And this is what we want to talk about. So if the Asiatic is where those earthbound vibrations of desire can come into play, then it must be something greater than that. Remember, Asiatics and Muslims are of the human family. There are those who are merely Asiatic,
Some Asiatics got something to think with. Some Asiatics ain't got nothing to think with. You see? In other words, you have those who are conscious and you have those who are unconscious. And the conscious make conscious decisions. The unconscious make rash and irrational decisions. And I'm going to show you something about this unconsciousness as it relates to weakness in a minute. You know how the chairman say walking dead? You talking, you saying a whole lot, but there's no substance in relation to what it is. You become dumbfounded, you know, in the presence of divine wisdom. It's all too great for you. You see? So the Muslim in you is that which was on the manifest from the very beginning. How do we know this? Because a Muslim is the will of the great God Allah made manifest. The will of the great God Allah didn't become manifest just because we came into the physical. The will of Allah was already on the manifest before we manifested. So the Muslim in you was already there. We were in conformity to the will of the great God Allah. There's a difference when we talk about conforming to the will of Allah and submitting to the will of Allah. And that's the problem. When we talk about holy matrimony, you know, a love tie between the goddess and the God man, all of that has to do with conformity. Not because a brother said so, not because a sister said so. That conformity is based solely on the aspect of one's love of the great God Allah. That's the deific tie. That's the line that unites the divinity of the matter. Do we make sense? See, a lot of us, we think that symbolic gestures can compensate for the reality of existence. You see? And I'm talking about just going through rite ceremonies and forms and put a ring on it and all that type of demonstration. All of these things that we do, if the adhesion of divinity is not present, it don't make no difference how grandiose your ceremony is. It don't make no difference on how you had it or how you didn't have it. It don't make no difference on how much the ring costs or how much it didn't cost. It still has no bearing upon the consciousness of the two that are on the plane of things made manifest, you know, unless they are in oneness of thought. You know, and this demonstration came to me just like that onion. I was doing my little work. I wasn't bothering nobody. And just like the thought came to me, you know, in the previous measure, when we was talking about, you know, all of us having to go through what the prophets went through. You know, this is another facet of that same expression, you know, because I'm thinking about, you know, also touching on some measures, and I'm going to go into it in a little bit as I go into these measures, because all these things that the God men and God women went through in the book, you know, these things were for us to be able to learn from and gain strength from, because you can't gain strength from weak sources. You see, you have to gain strength from those who've been through it and lived it and know that this don't happen to people, you know, because they are earthbound, but this also happened to those who come forth as messengers. You know, they dealt with these same drawings. You know, the family structure was under attack in the Piscean records if you go look at some of them stories. You know, same thing we see now, even in the Grand Quran. You know, in every culture, this is something that has always, plagued humanity, our society, so to speak. Without being able to establish a true union, brothers and sisters, we can't build a nation. I say it all the time. How you gonna build something when every time you try to build, somebody taking a brick out of the pyramid? That's a waste of time. You put the brick in there, then somebody pull it out. Put it in there, pull it out. Put it in there, pull it out. You on the hamster in the wheel demonstration, running nowhere fast now. You think you building something, but you ain't did nothing. And this is how many of us often demonstrate. Some of our people have been, from limb to limb when it comes to dealing with each other. Not even just domestic relationship, dealing with other people. And I tell our people, you take you wherever you go. So if you weak, when you go somewhere else, you're going to take that weakness with you. Unless you have learned to be the strength of the great God Allah made manifest. Unless you learn how to be strong. I don't care how you try to dress it up. I don't care how you try to beautify it. Make it look handsome, brothers. If you weak, it don't matter where you go. It don't matter what type of communication or relationship you dealing with, business, like I say, domestic, just social relationships, just dealing with humanity in general, because no man or woman is an island unto themselves. No matter where you go, the outcome ain't gonna change until you change what's in yourself. This is very important, family. So you got to learn how to be content. You see, because doubt is of thine own raising. And the great God Allah expressed in the teachings of the Grand Quran, suspicion in most cases is a sin. Why? Because it will lead you into becoming sinful or sin-filled. But Prophet Noble Drew Ali said he came to uplift us or redeem us from our sinful ways, our sin-filled ways. If you don't have somebody to guide you, you don't have somebody to teach you, if you leaning on your own understanding, that's a weakness. They call it stuck on stupid, ignoramus. I'm just speaking in general. I'm telling you what the people call it. I ain't calling nobody stuck on stupid now. I'm just saying that's what they call that. They also call it insanity. They call it crazy. You done lost your blank to blank mind. All types of expressions that they bring to this demonstration, family. This is insane. So we don't want to be like that. We don't want to continue falling by climbing. We don't want to continue to suffer. I know they said, who it was, Betty Wright said, no pain, no gain. We say that even when we lifting weights. But at least we building some muscle. But that don't apply when it come down to just loving, or becoming a pain freak, so to speak. And I mean that literally. Terrible. We got to be careful. So look at our chapter briefly. Notice it says again, art not thy desires also frail? You can't depend on what your desires dictate to you. Or knoweth thou even what it is thou wouldest wish? You don't even know what you want. When thou hast obtained what most thou sought it after, when you get it, behold, it contented thee not. We know bees move from flower to flower, family. But the great God Allah didn't put us in a situation. Ish and Ish don't move like that right there. Maybe Adam and Eve. And if you ain't careful, some of them thank Steve as well. But we don't subscribe to that. So that's neither here nor there. But go into the chapter. Listen to what's being said. This is talking about all of the way that one think they want something. And when they get it, they don't recognize what they have. In other words, they think the grass green on the other side. And I tell my people all the time, family, I've been saying it to our boys, if they think the grass green on the other side, then I'm awarded for. So it says, wherefore loses the pleasure that is before thee its relish? And why appear that which is yet to come sweeter? Because thou art wearied with the good of this, because thou knowest not the evil of that which is not with thee. Oh, you don't know the evil in that which you so long for. Know that to be content is to be happy. It says, couldst thou choose for thyself? Would thy creator lay before thee all that thy heart could ask for? Would happiness then remain with thee? Or would joy always dwell in thy gates? It says, alas, thy weakness forbiddeth it. Your weakness ain't gonna let you enjoy nothing. Your weakness ain't gonna let you be content with nothing. Your weakness ain't gonna let you acknowledge the good in that in which you have already, brothers and sisters. Thy infirmity declareth against it. Variety is to thee in the place of pleasure. You want all you can have, huh? But that which permanently delighteth must be permanent. There we go. Because if there is no permanent delightment, and we know it ain't, nothing on this earth that we enjoy has duration. Anything that is on the plane of things made manifest, you delight in it for the moment, but I can promise you there will come a time when all the fun is long and gone. You see? So we got to be fixated in that which is right. We got to be permanent. This is what we call immortal virtues. Your happiness comes from demonstrating on the level of your immortal virtues. Being just, being merciful, demonstrating love divine, being right in all your actions, right thinking, right willing, right reasoning, right understanding, right remembrance. So it says, when that is gone, thou repenteth the loss of it, though while it was with thee, thou despise it. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Had something good, didn't know the good and the value in what you had, and now when it's gone, you know, they say you never miss a good thing until it's gone now. You see? It's a divine warning in this, family. You see? While it was with you, you despised it. Resentment for the very thing that you say you love, for the very brother you say you love, for the very sister you say you love. Resentment. It says, that which succeeded it have no more pleasure. Listen to it. That which succeeded it have no more pleasure to thee, and thou afterward quarrel with thyself for preferring it. Behold, the only circumstances in which thou arrest not. And I don't know nothing about nobody else, but you know, I call that chasing your own karma. You see? It says, is there anything in which thy weakness appeareth more than in desiring things? It is in the possessing and the using of them. You see? Good things cease to be good in our enjoyment of them. A good brother cease to be good in our enjoyment of them, sisters. A good goddess cease to be good in our enjoyment of their presence, brothers. What nature meant pure sweets are sources of bitterness to us. From our delights arise pain, from our joys sorrow. Be moderate in enjoyment, and it shall remain in thy possession. You got to have some balance. That's what moderation is. Take the middle course. Let thy joy be founded on reason. In other words, you got to think. That's one of the actions of the soul. Because if it is not based upon reason, our brother Bati Bey had a class on that. It's definitely going to be unjust, meaningless in everything. Let thy joy be founded on reason. To its end shall sorrow be a stranger. Now then it goes into the delights of love are ushered by sighs. You say you love at one time, and then next thing you know, you sigh. You know, you worship the ground the brother or sister walk on, brothers and sisters. Next thing you know, you sigh. And terminate the languishment and dejection. It says the objects thou burden for nauseates with satiety, and no sooner hast thou possessed it, but thou art weary of its presence. And this is because of a lack of contentment, because you take you everywhere you go. You take that weakness everywhere you go. So you killing the grass when you go to the other side. No matter where you go, you know. But you know, it goes on. It's a whole bunch of measures in here, family, that are very powerful, family. It's showing you the difference between joy and pain and that which is permanent. It even went so far to tell us the best things in the hands of a fool may be turned to his destruction. Out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. We also told that so blended in weakness is thy nature, O Moorish American national, that thou hast not the strength to be good nor to be evil. In the Grand Quran, Allah say whatever good he created for us comes from him. But whatever evil that comes to us, and don't confuse evil, you know, with lessons, you know, because lessons that are not pleasant, you know, are not deemed evil. You know when you're dealing with some diabolical evil. Whatever evil come to you, come from yourself, basically. But it says, rejoice that thou canst not excel in evil, and let the good that is within thy reach content thee. All you got to do is be a good Muslim. You see? It's hard striving to be a good Asiatic when you're in the earthbound mindset. Notice it say the virtues are allotted to various stations. Seek not after impossibilities, nor grieve that thou canst not possess them all. It's too many. You know? And man, it's a powerful drawing just looking at this here. But to jump into the essence of the matter, going back to truth is but one, and thy doubts of on thine own raising, he who made virtues what they are planted in you, in this knowledge. This represent the tree of knowledge, family, in you. Not the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but the tree of the know thyself. You see, where things are dictated to you from the right aspect. These are what the trees are planted in the midst of the garden. Your consciousness. One of them, the great God Allah says, stay away from. You see? One, it was good to eat of the fruits of. So I want to go into a particular drawing real quick. First and foremost, let me go here. And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay. Y'all already know we're getting ready to go to I want to go into the definition of the word weakness. You know, as we go through our dictionary, our Arabic dictionary, classical dictionary. Let's see here. I'm going to share the screen here. I just go ahead and share the entire screen. Even the audio, just in case I decide I ain't going to hardly pull nothing up, but that's all right. Okay, so let's go over here. Dictionary of the Quran. We already got one word here. I see 5 of them up here so far. But look at this. The word used here is na'asa. It means to drowse, doze, be weak. Right? Somnolent. Na'asu, slumber, weakness, comfort, ease, rest, soothingness, slumber. Prophets say, Moors, wake up, you sleep too much. And don't go back to sleep neither. You know, so sleep is a manifestation that you basically are in a state of weakness. You see, and sometimes we can sleep and walk at the same time and don't even know it. You see, a lot of our people walking around here drowsy and don't even know it. A lot of them walking in a state of slumber and don't even know it. You ever notice when we say, well, I don't use that term like that no more. When somebody passed for him, we say, rest in peace. You see, oh, he was tired of living. He was, you know, it's time to go. You know, no, I say rise in power. R.I.P. You see? Okay, let me see here. There you go. It's talking about Nabs Lawama right here. That self-accusing spirit, right? The self-accusing spirit above, that's Lawama. That's when the soul, that's what I say you got conscience. It tell you, don't do that. Don't do that, brother. Don't do that, sister. You know that you ain't right. You understand? But look at what it says about Lawama. And I'm going to go into Mutmain. It says, self-accusing soul has been so called because it upbraids a person for doing evil deeds and strongly hates unbridled passions and bestial appetites. What in the world going on with this phone here? I don't know why it's blinking. Can y'all hear me on the conference call, family? Because my phone going crazy over here. It's just blinking in and out. I want to make sure y'all hear me.
We can hear you, Dr. Shaheen.
Okay, it's long. Look like it's almost trying to. I hope it ain't trying to down me. Well, what we gonna do? We're gonna do it this way here because I got it in here to be charging. So I'm gonna put it in this computer because it got a source of power to it. And we'll see how that go. But anyway, all is well. Rome ain't built nothing to last, and we know that they like to play with these contraptions. That's a brand new one. So for it to go to whacking out, yeah, we already know what time it is. Can't stop this though. We resolute over here. So anyway, again, it says self-accusing soul has been so called because it upbraids a person for doing of evil deeds, strongly hates unbridled passions and bestial appetites. So this is Lawama now. It's telling you that's the self-accusing spirit. You know, it said in the Quran, nor do I absorb the self-accusing spirit. You see what I'm saying? This is that thing that tell you, you know you ain't right. Now, when you get into a state of bestiality, you don't care what's good. You don't even really care what's evil. They both look the same to you. You know, you don't even care about morality. You don't care about, whatever it is that you do in your acts, because this is all a part of the weakness. A fallen victim. This is when you go into fallen. Remember, he fell because he gratified his lower desires. This is the fallen state. We teaching here, family. It says its tendency, on the other hand, is to generate noble qualities and virtuous disposition. This self-accusation transformed life so as to bring its whole course and conduct to entire moderation. Then we just talk about the lack of moderation. And to restrain the carnal passions and sensual desires within due bound. That's a mechanism that has been placed in this apparatus to help regulate the soul actions, to keep a balance there. This is, I didn't say this is the way Allah made us. But when you lose sight of that reality, then you become just as that of those who have no center, those who we couldn't give a center. And it all goes back to a thought pattern. That same thought pattern that the prophet said, he said, if he could just get us to thinking, we would save ourselves. But when we have that slave master, slave breaker, slave holder, slave catcher thinking for us, cloak and dagger consciousness, I mean, you just pretty much got a battery in your bike. You a robot. Some people say a slave. And we ain't going to get on how many levels that one can be enslaved, because there's a whole bunch of them. Now, let's go into this drawing here. It says, although the nafs al-lawama, the self-accusing soul, upbraids itself for its faults and frailties, yet it is not the master of its passions, nor is it powerful enough for tuba, which means to repent or turn away from these things. It says to return completely and practice virtue exclusively. The weakness of the flesh sometimes gets the upper hand. And then it stumbles and falls down. And yet it does not persist in its fault. Every failure brings a fresh reproach at this stage. See that falling by climbing? It says the soul is anxious to attain more excellence and revolts against evil, which is the characteristics of the spirit prone to evil, nafs amara. Notwithstanding its desire and yearning for virtue, sometimes it deviates from the right path. Terrible. But when you get into the last stage up here, the onward journey of the spiritual and moral uplifts is called in the Holy Quran, nafs al-mutmainah. This is felicity. This is the soul at peace. This is the real stage of Tuba. When you have turned away, this is the highest stage of the spiritual journey in which, to which the human being can aspire in this world, and that he should rest contented with Allah, and should find his tranquility, his happiness, and his delight in Almighty Allah. And that go for a brother and a sister. If you can rise in felicity together, then you're truly rising in love. You don't want to fall in love because you are plunging into the abyss or the insufficiency of love. That's a powerful demonstration, family. I was looking at a sister, and I posted a lot of the more, seen the video, sister was giving a drawing, and she said, well, we got to learn the difference between love and respect. And I said that all the time. Like I tell the Moors, when you demonstrate love, if you on the manifest, you will sell the things you say you love, you'll put a price on it. It's not unconditional, but when it come down to dealing with, a respect aspect, and that she was saying, well, it ain't no obligation for one to love. As far as dealing with the way that one is, they don't have that in their mind, in their psyche, because they're willing to give it up at any time, as far as dealing with, it's a price tag on it. But when it comes down to dealing with respect, now one has a moral obligation to respect themselves and respect somebody else. But they can take their love and do whatever they want to it. Ain't nobody buying respect. You can't put no price tag on respect. You see what I'm saying? It's certain things that money can't buy, family. And we got to learn this. We have to learn this, family, because this has been one of the reasons, the root of the evils that have consumed our people. The main reason most of our brothers out there robbing, stealing, and killing is because they chasing a dollar. They're chasing a European God in whom they know nothing. Chasing the bag, as the young generation would say. Getting to the bag, as the young generation would say. Not realizing the baggage, that they are carrying from one destination to the next. That weakness. Because even if you had everything it is you wish for on the plane of things made manifest, that still would not change the reality of the fact that in life you're going to have ups and downs, regardless of how much you think you have. You ain't never heard the term more money, more problems. You ain't seen some of these people out here that got everything it is they wish for and they still ain't got a soul. You don't see how many people that done stepped over people, and betrayed people that was there for them when they was at the bottom. All for the sake of what they call that almighty dollar. That European God government ordinance department issued reserve note. Oh, man. Ooh-wee. So let's go further. Because we got some more definitions on here. Weakness. Here it is again right here. Anatha. To be soft, effeminate. All right, brothers. All right. Now we ain't trying to tell you got to be rigid, in the aspects of, acting crazy. But, this is what it's telling you here. And this is what, you have a lot of sisters. It's a trend going on out here now. They looking for, dark romance, and they looking for the soft man. How you going to be? He's an alpha, but he's soft. You want to be careful with that right there. Because he may be hard on the exterior and soft on the interior, if you know what I mean. We ain't got to go into that. But anyway, it indicates the weakness and helplessness of a thing. And it's actually saying here in this aspect, well, a female is supposed to be soft. A female ain't supposed to be hardcore. Female ain't supposed to be masculine. And a man ain't supposed to be soft. I mean, I didn't say this. This is what the book's saying. Sweat, affectuous, inanimate, lifeless thing, small star. It got a whole bunch of little words in here we can see, dealing with these definitions. Here's another drawing right here. Very important right here. Sakana. To be quiet, rest, repose, dwell, lodge, inhabit, stop, still, subside. Sakanun, any means of tranquility, rest, etc. Okay. That which remains calm, quiet, fixed, okay, which was in motion, tranquility, security, divine tranquility, mercy, blessing, repose. It is probably the same as the Hebrew word sakina. Okay, maskanun, inhabited, askana, to make quiet, dwell, cause to abide, sing of, maskin. Okay, poor, humble, submissive, who cannot move to earn his livelihood because of his physical or financial disability. Oh, man. One who is in a state of lowliness or submissiveness, abasement, or humiliation. Now, notice it said here too, destitute, weak, penniless. So this is dealing with solely things that have to do with what you can acquire on the plane of things made manifest. He is more pitiable and deserves more to be helped than fakir. It says it also means poverty of mind, which a lot of our people suffer from, disgrace, evil state, weakness, poverty of mind, evil state, weakness, man, and wretchedness. Man, this is something else here. Well, it don't get no plainer than that, and that's back to square one right there. So yeah, we see the definitions that are given here, you know, in regards to dealing with this concept as it relates to the weakness, you know. And so it's a whole lot, family. Even in our commentary, you know, we can see here what we have. To be honest with you, everywhere that you go into most of these different texts, that's what they're telling us about. You know, weakness of faith is talking about here. You know, weakness of faith. You know, you can go all up through these books and find weakness. Weakness of, you know, belief as far as dealing with your religion here. You know, weakness. Look at this here. Human beings. Watch this. This is talking about, since the faculty, it says a conceptual thinking is a human being's endowment. Maybe you got something to think with, right? His forgetting is evidence of the weakness that is characteristic of the human race. This emphasizes once again the necessity of revelation, the human being's dependence on unceasing divine guidance. You weak, so you got to be made strong, and the law is what make you strong. In other words, like we say, your staying power determine your saving power, and your staying power, you know, or your saving power is manifesting that staying power, and so forth and so on, in all of your situations. You see? Man, look at this. It will be at a time of extreme danger and weakness in faith when such people shall appear on the divine command and reestablish the faith which he has chosen. So in trying times, family, a prophet is always born, one that is coming forth, and that's going to make true on the promise of the great God Allah. Problem is, if we done lost all patience, we done lost our mind, we don't believe that the great God Allah exists. I'm not talking about us that do. I'm just speaking an example. You see? So we can only become strong when we acknowledge where we have become weak. You see? Here's the one aspect right here in our commentaries. It says, he brings out, in the name of Allah the Beneficent, the Merciful, he brings out of all kinds of darkness those who believe and do good deeds. The darknesses are of many kinds. It is the darkness in the stomach of the mother, the darkness of illiteracy, ignorance, bad habits, gambling, addiction, alcohol, darkness of traditions, and darkness of weakness in character, such as breaking promises, severing ties that were meant to be broken, and telling lies. The great God Allah is able to bring us up out of all of that. But if we believe we lower than a whale's turd, you know, that it ain't nothing that we can be saved from, because we don't recognize salvation and saving. You see? Here's another drawing here when it was speaking on the levels of the soul. It says, and this is talking about Lawama, it says they are eager to get rid of their weaknesses, and their nerves, Al-Lawama, the self-accusing soul, is alive and warning them from time to time. Higher self always telling you, stay in the realm of divinity. But some evil of their souls keep them from guaranteeing their soul's purity. You can't blame nobody for that outside of you. That's you. You got your own soul. You have been given authority and accountability of your own ability to think, will, reason, understand, and remember. You can't blame nobody else for that and say, he made me do it. You know, I just gave up. You know, I got tired of, you know, this measure, so they made me become the way I am. No. Who made you? That's the question we got to ask. Because if they can make you, that means anybody can get you to do what they want you to do. because they say so. It says they take every precaution to guard themselves, but owing to one weakness or the other, they repeatedly fall into the pit of darkness. They know that their true king, Malik, is Allah, and they profess that they owe allegiance to the true king, the sovereign of humankind. But out of their weakness, they commit faults while having this knowledge. Terrible. Terrible. Don't mean you can't rise up and clean yourself up, you know. But again, Allah would not change the condition in a people until they change the condition within themselves. You see, this is some powerful measures right here, family. Don't get no clearer than this right here. So I want to go here to the book of fire, because I want to talk about a few things in closing. Obedience, brothers and sisters, is better than sacrifice. And I'm talking about sacrificing your bonds of affection. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Because no God man will ever sacrifice his God woman due to his inability to be the God man that he destined to be. And no God woman will sacrifice her God man due to her inability to be the God woman that she destined to be. If you know yourself, you know yourself. If you don't, you don't. Obedience. When I say obedience, I ain't talking about nobody running you, controlling you, brothers and sisters. I'm talking about obedience to the great God. Obedience to the great God Allah is better than sacrifice of each other. Because this is becoming the norm out here now. Social media has corrupted everything that was considered sacred. And many people jumping out the window, not knowing when they hit rock bottom, that's it. Ain't no coming back from that. But these are tests. These are tests, you know, that were given. If we go back to the garden, they tell you that a serpent was in the midst of the garden. They tell you that that serpent began to whisper. Right? And the serpent beguiled one. And after that one was beguiled, that one basically caused one to partake of the same measure. The serpent in the midst of the garden. Pay attention to that. You see, and all these represent characteristics within individuals. This ain't no spookism. That serpent that was whispering was a man. Sister. That serpent that was whispering was a woman. Brothers, I'm showing you characteristics. We ain't giving nobody no way out. You ain't finna try to say that this is no chauvinism over here or this is no feminism over here. We speaking the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And if you get offended by this, the only reason you get offended by this is because you're thinking on the level of being a descendant of Adam and Eve. But when you understand that you demonstrate from a level of Ish and Isha, then this don't apply to you. But it is a lesson that can be learned as we are dealing with these tests, because we are in the flesh, and man and woman is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. So this is a cautionary tale, so to speak. Serpent in the midst of the garden. There's a serpent in your garden, brothers, that you got to guard your family from. There's a serpent in your garden, sisters, that you got to guard your family from. Because remember, Once the serpent went to moving and shaking, so to speak, that serpent, went about his way, told him, when he first, you should not surely die. You're going to be like God. You're going to have everything it is that you need, what you looking for. Sound like one being taken to the mountain again to me. We're going to show you everything. Oh, man. And even when we go into the text of the book of Job, I was looking at that there, and that came up, and Shaitan said, if you were to take everything it is that he had from him, he your righteous servant. The only reason he do this because you keep blessing him. So if you take everything around him, take some of his family members, take them off the count. Take everything that he got and everything that he's given, and he gonna show enough curse you to your face. But the great God Allah say, no, this one is a righteous servant. That ain't a lesson just for a brother. That's a lesson for a brother and a sister. I always tell them, well, you already don't, a lot of people don't know Job and Job is the same thing. In other words, you got to be about the business of your Father God Allah, brothers and sisters. Because that's what the great God Allah knows, even though he allowed the so-called devil or the adversary of men who came moving to and fro in the earth, seeking whom he may devour, to do what he did. Job came forth with blessings sevenfold after that demonstration. But there was one drawing in there got so crazy to where Job God woman couldn't take it. She said, you might, why don't you just blaspheme God, curse God and die? And he told her, he said, you talk foolish. Is God not God? When good is there on the manifest and when evil is on the manifest? Because this has been one of the tests that come forth within all of our particular situation, because we come up out of poverty. We ain't had much. So we've been manipulated by these particular things. People making you believe that you can run into a jackpot situation. And if your integrity is not right, that's what she said, curse God, and throw away your integrity. Yeah, you got all that faith in God, but we on the plane that they made manifest. We got to eat. I don't know about you, but I'm going to get it how I live. If you don't want to, curse God, if you want to keep faith in God, thinking God going to bring it to you, then, I'm going to go out here and get it how I can, even if it means being promiscuous. Or brother, if he is unlegal to yoke and he get in the mindset, oh, if I can't get it like it's supposed to be got, I'm finna go out here, rob, steal, and kill. So you see how the dynamic go? But notice that we the only people that's making them type of decisions. Rome don't have to make them type of decisions because the system is already set up. The deck is already stacked for them to win, in the way that they call their demonstration of life. But if you stand with the great God Allah, you will see that all is well. You have to count the blessing that you already have and stop looking at what other people got. Keep your nose out of other people's business. Because what's for them, for them. And you don't know how they got it. What's for you is for you. But you mess around and find out, though. Especially when you don't do right by those who only meant well to you. Ain't no way you can justify that. Karma is on your heel and you running it down fast. When you go outside of the realm of divinity to gratify the lower self. That's just the law of nature, family. Everybody know it. There ain't no secret. There was a drawing that was given, and I have it here. So we're getting ready to open up the floor in a second. I want to show you this. Here it is right here. story I read a long time ago. There was a situation between Ishmael and his father Abraham. And listen to this story. It said that Abraham returned to visit Ishmael at various times throughout his life. And at one time, according to the tradition of Muhammad, Abraham arrived when his son was out, and Abraham visited Ishmael's wife. Abraham decided to leave before seeing his son, but based upon the complaints Ishmael's wife made in response to his questions, she was complaining to it about his son. He gave her a message to give to her husband, Ishmael, when he returned home, which was change his threshold. This is what Abraham told her to tell him. When Ishmael arrived that night, he asked if they had any visitors and was informed by his wife of the man who had visited and what he said. She didn't know that was his father. Ishmael understood his father and explained to his wife that the visitor was his father and he had been instructed to divorce his wife and find a better one, which Ishmael did. Sometime after this, Abraham returned to visit Ishmael again, and Ishmael was out. And Abraham talked with Ishmael's new wife, and he found her answers indicated faith in God and contentment with her husband. And Abraham again had to leave before he saw his son, but left him the message to keep his threshold. And when Ishmael returned that night, he again asked if there had been any visitors and was informed of Abraham's visit. Ishmael told his wife who it was that had come to visit and that he approved of her and their marriage. And this goes deeper because it goes into, more than just Abraham, but what about the great God? It was the great God Allah that had put that wisdom in Abraham to tell Ishmael to change his threshold. And sometimes the great God may be putting this type of measure out there, even when it comes to the God woman, telling her, that she got a different threshold. And it all is based on not what it is that can be done on the manifest, but who has the more faith in the great God Allah. Not who has the more money or the less money, who has the faith in the great God Allah. Brothers and sisters, we know that most of the people in the world that have everything on the manifest, or most of the ungodly, are those who don't believe in the supreme reality and don't have morality. So anything that they do would never be from a level of divinity. It'll always be dealing with things that deal with carnal drawings. So in my closing, what I'm going to do, I want to read from the Book of Fire as I close out, so we can open up the floor to our family. We'll give a little time, a little more time. We know most of our family ain't going to come in and give too many drawings anyway, so we got plenty of time on that aspect. But I want to go to the Book of Fire real quick. I'm going to read this. I got it on the screen so y'all can see it. I want y'all to listen to this because we've been talking about the God and the serpent and all of this. I want y'all to hear the wisdom of our chairman here. And don't forget this. This all has to do with the exhuming of a nation and securing the family. That's what this is dealing with, family. Listen to these words of wisdom. And this portion is talking about sexuality. Our chairman said, "Oh no, he did not say the S word, did he? That's it. Close the book, because nobody can live without the S word. What could possibly be wrong with the sex word? This author's this author's a few quarts low. Hey, bring him the one size fit all jacket with the extra long sleeves and buckles in the back That's funny. I remember Rome put me in one of them right there one time when I got a hold to him in my youth. But it says, dear readers, it say these lessons of peace, freedom, and happiness. It says first, the prefix sex is Latin, which means six. And the number alone is symbolic of the dividing of the trinities of God and man, Satan, equaling Satan, right? 6 is the greatest of all the numbers that can be equally divided, 2, 4, 6, and 8. This is why sex is a base of evil. Even before money, cars, and television, still a soldier never knows his strength without a foe. Sexuality is one of the great states of fallen humanity, a part of the world of dualities where the stronger conquer the weaker manifest. Sexuality is any sex act, thought, or deed committed outside of the realms of natural mating for procreation between the male and female genders of the human family. It is the catering to the sensuous self through stimulated abuse of the five senses. Sexuality's fruitful, it says, world of stimuli formed into the addictive body of false sensations by the fallen humanity or for humanity's sake. This sex world has been formed into kingdoms of masturbations of many kinds, e.g. homosexuality or an anal sex. Sexuality loosened into the world has degenerated the societies to rape, incest, murder, diseases, divorce, bastards, hatred, and wars. Today, modern Western thought unfolds boldly to a state of unshamed godlessness, with varied mate exchanges, commercialized sex appeals, revealing clothing, body praises, and pornographies. No other living species on the planet has sex just for selfish gratification and lust, except those who are just being human. Yet there's reasons why today's Western man, instead of learning the origin of the wrongs of Adam and Eve, he is seeking civil rights for Adam and Steve, gays and lesbians. Little do most NBC know that virtually everything that they know about their body, sex, God, and social behaviors has been learned from the same masters that enslaved them. This includes how to make love, being hung like a horse, the proper way to swap DNA and suck and spit when French kissing. This author is still flabbergasted at how a people who just discovered the world was not flat, whose highest school is military war room, can now teach the mothers and fathers of the human family about love and fruitfulness. Oral sex is one of the many unnatural acts resulting from lust. It is a learned behavior of those who think love is something to fall into or zero in a tennis match. Or masturbation, the fruits of sexuality, is referred to as the tilling of the soil. As a part of the eviction consequences listed in Genesis 3:14-24, this seeming ingested level of lust has caused sterility in high active female prostitutes. As for the African man, it is extremely difficult for his woman to recognize him as their lofty king when his head has been between her thighs. She knows all too well this area of her body is predominantly an exit area. It is for the suffix excrements of her many ations, e.g. urination, pulsation, ovulation, defecation, and menstruation. What she senses but may not know is the nearest place where man can meet his God is centered in his head, between and behind his eyebrows. Her subsequent disrespectfulness will often derive from the mystery meeting between his uppermost temple, mixing with the area of where she has the least to offer. Sexuality is dependent upon a barrage of false sensations of the human flesh. The original man in his holistic state did not know these fabricated feelings urged forth from physical stimulus. Man and wife only knew of peace and true sensations, bliss from the harmonies of life. They had neither knowledge of pain, disease, or convulsions of the body. Sexuality is excessive praises given to the gods of flesh, which man was forbidden to create for himself. How in the world did sexuality become a god that man thinks he must serve. Let us remake man and see what happened. Paramahansa Yogananda, pardon self, a yogi master yogi Christ of India, January the 5th, 1893, March 7, 1952, stated, its tree of life is the human body. The spinal cord is like an upturned tree with man's hair as its roots, and afferent nerves as branches. The tree of the nerve systems bears many enjoyable fruits or sensations of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. In these, man may rightfully indulge, but he was forbidden to experience of sex, the apple at the center of the body in the midst of the garden. The serpent represents the cord up spine or spinal energy that stimulates the sex nerves. Adam is reason, Eve is feeling. When the emotion of Eve consciousness in any human being is overpowered by the sex impulse, his reason or Adam also succumbs. Genesis 3, verse 1. Before Adam and Eve were cast down to levels of procreation and sensuous gratification, they had created 5 children, the same way they were created. That's how your Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast come on to manifest. Right? Prophet Abdul Sharif Ali, pardon himself, stated the children of Adam and Eve were given the name Asiatics and were Muslims. One who submits their will to the will of the great God. It was the descendants of Adam and Eve, not their children born from sex after being cast out of the Garden of Eden, which were given the names Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. It says the Guru Master goes on to say God created the human species by materializing the bodies of man and woman through the force of his will. He endowed new species, man and woman, with the power to create children in a similar, immaculate, or divine manner. Adam and Eve could enjoy all human sensibilities with the exception of sex sensations. Human sexuality has cursed the human family with lust, greed, anger, ego, and a host of sins and crimes because of its selfish and unquenchable desires. Today, man will bar no indulgence in or limits to his sexual god. Its fruits have spurned domestic violence, wars, and genocide, even extinction of nations. Children born from this sensation are born through a process of reverse downbreeding with their minds away from God. Man's craving for sex has totally debased himself from his natural mating cycle, and domesticated women develop unnatural menstruation, menopause, PMS, infections, and they assume is expected toil of human life. Sexuality has become the secret first lady to virtually every president of the United States from George Washington to William Clinton. It has spurned the religions and defeated more armies and governments than written history can reflect. So this is a powerful measure that take us beyond the plane of things made manifest. Family, don't allow yourself to be beguiled by the serpent, brothers and sisters. Take not of the apple of desire, because at its essence, is nothing more than bitter and gall. You see, unless you're dealing with the 2 apples that the prophet said that you give to the goddess and you're trying to educate her. You see, give her a nationality and divine creed, and everything else come along with that right there. And then she'll go beyond thinking that she 3/5. Then he'll go beyond thinking that he 3/5. So honor your mother and your father that your days may be long upon the land, family. Ish and Isha. Stop chasing karma and come into the divinity of the self and allow weakness to perish and let the dead bury its own dead. So we say gratitude, Islamism without the schism. Don't let the dead out thank you. We love you, Moorish kin. And at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to open up the floor so that we can hear from our Moorish kin. Islam, Moorish family. Star 6 your phones. You can come forth on the panel.
Islam.
Islamism.
Islam. It's Islam. That's emblem of seal, my constitutional bylaws of North America. Islam, and as you were bringing forth that grand class, and it had me think about question 51. How does carnal man try to retain the wrath of Allah? Answer: by prayers from priests and sacrifice of animals and birds when prayer fails. And I just say that because how people have been. We come from. Our people are still caught in the carnal nature when we talk about the material nature that has been placed, upon the mighty moral sense, hidden upside the hill of that seven wall. So as our people realize, who made them, this is why that is very important. Who made you, the great God Allah, and then you see his holy prophet, Noble Ali. So this is why we are here to teach our people their divine creed and nationality, because we have been bound to that carnal nature, we have been bound to that material plane thought pattern. So out of the wise, all praise be to Allah for sending us holy prophet, we're able to continue to unfold, to be a mighty nation, and to learn, keep the bricks together. Because unity brings about, that's what it is to be a nation. We have our five highest principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So grand class, grand man, peace and love to everything that is to be Moorish. Long live Moorish America. Islam.
And Islamism. Gratitude for the measure, brother.
Islam.
Islam.
Dr. Larry Daniels, base South Carolina Council agent. First, I rise and give praise and glory to Allah, the most merciful. And I give high honors to his holy and divine prophet, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, the last prophet in these days and times. And I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution. And I honor you, God, man. Great class, great subject as always. And I honor all my brothers and sisters in my life. Peace and blessings, peace and love. Well, brother, your class remind me of, our lessons, understanding the difference between the spiritual world and the material world. Because when man get all caught up in his five lower senses, and that becomes his world, and he be so wrapped up in it, and he's always getting disappointed because these things, they come and go. They have a beginning and they have an end. And then if man gets so lost into that world till he lose he lose in touch with the source, with his source, and then that's when he realizes that some people get to praying and get to going to church and doing all type of things because they have depended on things that that wasn't real, and then they realize that this has failed me, and not understanding that the main thing they have is the source that going within, and finding that finding the real God, because everything that in society has directed man to outside of himself, and that's why he keep failing. That's why he keep going through these changes, ups and downs, downs and ups, and then he started to look for something. And he feel like somebody is doing him wrong, something is not going right, but he has lost his connection with source. Everything he's looking for is within, but he has been looking outside himself for so long until he transitioned right off the scene. And then when he don't have those five senses no more after that, then he realized, hey, he had it all along within himself. It's a blessing, Islam.
Islam. Gratitude. And we are talking a grand draw here, when we deal with that measure, weakness, weakness is what we referred to. And I want to show our family something too, just briefly, you know, um, in the lights, because we talking about also, like I said, our structures. We talking about building a nation. You can't build a nation when you ain't got no unity, and we talking about unity just within your house. That's where your government first should be established. You got to establish the government of self. You got to establish the government of your family, and then you can go to the broader sense and be an executive ruler of your nation. I had a drawing up here where I was talking about black love and a lack of self-knowledge is there, well, the real definition of an interracial relationship. And I had put this out there a few moons ago. Again, black love, dead love, and a lack of self-knowledge is the real definition of an interracial relationship. And what I'm showing here, subconsciously, skin deep, this is what's really going on in the hearts and minds of our brothers and sisters. You see, she got Labor to Liberty up there in her head right here, right? You see, he got George Washington up in his head right here, right? But then you got a brother over here with a European woman and a sister over here with a European man. That's what's going on in the hearts and minds of our people. And not so much of these people being with people, but I'm talking about the consciousness. The brother is looking for Lady Liberty in the mind of the sister, if he ain't got no knowledge of self. And the sister is looking for a Western Freemason. She's looking for the European, in the mind. So there's one aspect of hatred for the thought pattern, this brother, which come from the same European that she longed for. And there's a certain thought pattern in this woman, that Lady Liberty, that he's hating in her subconsciously. They don't know this, and this is why they have so much opposition toward each other when you're dealing with black love. There's a difference between black love and Moorish love. So I just want to point that out. Go ahead. Islam, Moorish King. Islam, goddess and queen.
Islam, Dendra Nia Curtin Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah, give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to you, God. Man, I tell you, wow, this has been such a powerful, powerful class tonight. And I just want to encourage my Moorish kin who's out there listening, live, and who's on the who has tuned in. I just want to encourage our Moorish kin to go back and listen to this playback, because Dr. Shahid, I tell you, you say so many truths, and all you have to do is look around and see that everything you have spoken tonight, well, let me put it this way, everything that the great God Allah has spoken through you to us is so true. And all you got to do is look around and see it happening today. In that picture you just showed, oh man, a picture is worth 1,000 words, you have taught us. And that picture says so much. And what it made me think about, when you showed that picture, you see, when and your subject is, you was talking about weakness, and this whole thing made me think about when I was in the Piscine area. I learned about a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, and everything you talked about tonight, and how you want this and you don't know you want this, even in our it's so many things that you cover that are so powerful. That's why I'm encouraging our Moorish kin to go back and listen to this playback, and listen with an open mind, and realize that we who were born here in the West, like you say, we didn't know nothing about Moorish love. We knew about the love that the Europeans taught us, and they still don't have a clue about what Moorish love is, about what divine love is. So it's that's why we have so many issues. But like I say, I encourage my Moorish king, please go back, listen to this playback and open up your mind and listen to what the God man has told us tonight. Dr. Shaheed, this is such a powerful class tonight. I tell you, I just enjoyed everything. And praise the Lord for you and gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude for sharing, Goddess and Queen. Allah's lead on and victory is sure. Islamism without this. Islam, Goddess and Queen.
Gratitude, Grandman. Islam. I am National Grand Secretary of the state of Indiana, Dr. Saad Natanu Hacharu El. And again, we rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah and the highest honors to our Holy Prophet El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. Honors to our theocratic Moorish American government. Honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag. And honors to this Grand Moorish Perspectives class. Honors to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, for also hosting this grand class and bringing forth so many jewels. We're coming out of our chapter of the week, chapter 64, ayat 23. And your class really did kind of spark a past experience in my recollection, because I remember when me and my husband first got obligated and married, and our people, oh my goodness, we just gotta lift them up and just continue to be the message that we bring. I remember this goddess in particular, she was unconscious. We met her at a family friend event, and so we exchanged information, and she was just so drawn to my energy. So naturally, of course, you should come over, and we'll have a meat-free dish, maybe. And so she came over and she brought her husband, and they were just so elated. They had so many questions for me and my husband, and we was patient with them. We answered their questions, and so after that night, she came back the next day to kind of like pick my brain and was like, "So how did you get him? What was your secret? How did you get him to marry you?" I've been with Nines for 15 years, and he will not marry me. And I was baffled because she's thinking that I used some type of trickery. So I read to her our divine constitution and bylaws, and definitely, especially Act 7. And our people got a problem with that word obey. As soon as she seen wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, look after the duties of your household. You have to obey him. So, what if you don't feel like doing something? It was after that. It was when she realized that we had a divine way of being Moorish, and we had our own guidelines that we follow. She became kind of like silent. I didn't hear from her for a little while, and she eventually got married. But at our wedding, there were terms and conditions. Like, she basically said, "I'm not just gonna be your wife. I'm your partner. Whatever you do, I'm gonna do too." It was just, I couldn't believe what we were witnessing at the time, and just trying to enlighten her, give her the 101s, and you should come over, we can study. We have a plethora of knowledge, and she just took that, and she kind of went ghost. But that just kind of took me back into that day when she came over, and she was, "How did you get on, and what did you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just being virtuous, living the life accordingly, being my more self." So I say that to say, it's definitely a mindset, a mentality that our unconscious brothers and sisters unknowingly have, or maybe they do know and they just they're just conditioned to think that this is the way it's supposed to be because their mamas was that way and their grandmas was the same, and this is just how it always been for them. So, to think anything different will be contradicting their traditions, and just because it's tradition don't make it right. So gratitude for your grandman, and gratitude for allowing me to speak and share. Peace and love.
And gratitude and peace and love for that drawing, sister. And yeah, I second that. That's a powerful measure. And it ain't strange that you bring that forward because some of our sisters out here, sister, and I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. Some of our sisters, you can try to give them the prophet. You can spend 20, 30 years trying to give them the prophet, right? And the main thing that they have a problem with is, it say obedience. It say the one man's supposed to be able to, it's chauvinistic. All this philosophy they get from the feminist movement, basically. Excuses as to why they don't want to follow the great God. And they'll go and jump way out the window, with the European and call that European king, daddy. God, I feel like God is working through you. I'm talking about just terrible. I want to be submissive. I'm going to listen to everything you say. So it goes to show you the illness that our people are suffering from. She don't want to submit to the God in the God man, her own Asiatic, indigenous king, but she's willing to submit and become a slave of the same person that has been oppressing her for all these years. And we see that going on. The same thing with brothers. You got some brothers that'll treat a European woman way more than greater than they'll ever treat a goddess. And this is why I said what I said. Black love and a lack of knowledge is the real definition of an interracial relationship, even if both of the parties is Asiatic and melanated. Islam, they got that thought pattern though. Powerful measure, sis. All right. Any other more who would like to come forward? We still got some little time allotted here.
Islam.
Islam, Brother Muhammad Bey.
Gratitude, Grand Man Islam, in view of the time. Yes, I'm Dr. Joel Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the South Carolina Consulate. I want to give praise to our Father God Allah. I want to give the highest honors to His holy prophet, our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I want to give honors to our Moorish American government, our Moorish American nation, to all of our officials of Moorish America. I want to give honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag. I want to give honors to you, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of the Moorish American government and its nation, for always coming forth and sharing, Grand Man. Come forth and teaching, because as we know, we can't learn if we don't have the knowledge. We can't get understanding. And according to this class, there's no way that we can come out of being weak if we don't have the knowledge to make us strong. Gratitude for all you do. So I give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. And I give honors to absolutely everything Moorish. Oh, man, oh, brother, this is such a magnificent class. And, as always, you cover a lot of ground. One of the first things, when that first part of the ayat talks about desire. And one of the things about desire is one of the greatest temptations and trials. But when you trace it back, you'll find that it's based upon unrighteousness, being unethical and immoral. And this is why it's a weakness. It's a weakness of inconstancy, meaning that one is unstable. They're not stable in their thinking, which means that they have an insufficiency of knowledge of the self. This is what makes them weak, and that weakness makes them miserable. All of these are the five folds that we're studying. This weakness is so unique. You know, one of the statements that you made, Grandman, the mind will never receive what it is unwilling to accept. And that is so very important. So I just want to, there are three forms. In other words, weakness is a form of unbelief. Like it says, unacceptance. So in Islam, some of the teachings that came from our ancestors, this is called kufr, a state of unbelief. And basically, there are many categories, but I just want to cover three real quick. One is called kufr or ul inad. This is where someone who knows the truth and admits to knowing the truth with their tongue, but they refuse to accept it. This is the weakness of instability. Then you have kufr ul juhud. This is disbelief out of rejection. Someone who acknowledges the truth in their heart, but reject it with their tongue. This is the weakness of inconstancy. You have kufr ul irad. This is disbelief. Now, this one's really deep, right? Because you covered this, Grandman. This is disbelief due to avoidance, which means this is an individual who turns away from the truth and avoids the truth. And see, that's when you talk about, you know, unfortunately, there are some of our people that they don't want to even know anything. I mean, I'm sure all of us have encountered that. I've encountered talking to individuals, and they will actually say with their tongue, "Yeah, brother, that's that. You know, you're right, but you know, I ain't with that." See, that's a conflict within. From the Moorish perspective, we classify that as a word which is called Maya, where one has taken falsehood to be truth and truth to be falsehood. So weakness is a very, very detrimental thing when it comes to our people, when it comes to any of us, because in ending, not praise, but honors be to our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because he gave us the foundation and understanding of it all. What is it? The prophet said, absolutely everything begins with a thought. So when we look at this thing about weakness, it's all based upon how an individual or individuals think in their mind, especially when it comes to the acceptance or the rejection of the truth. So this is why our prophet told us we must purify our thinking. And the only way you can purify the thinking is through the truth. And this is why the scripture says we shall know the truth, and the truth will make us free. This is the place. The Moorish American government, the Sacred Grove University of the Moorish American government and its nation. Here on these conference calls 7 nights a week. If an individual or individuals want to learn the truth that will make them free, this is where you come, family. Islam and gratitude. Thanks for letting me share. This is a grand magnanimous class, Grandman. Peace and love.
In Islamism, without the schism, Brother Muhammad Bey, peace and love. Praise be to Allah. Well, all right. Islamism without the schism.
Islam?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Brother Marvin Bey? You got the floor.
Yes, sir. Gratitude. Yeah, this is Dr. Marvin Evans Bey out of the Texas Consulate, rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali Al-Hajj Tariq Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Egg One, I give honor to all of our officials. Give honor to this class, our Morris Prospectus class. So I give honor to you, Dr. Shedo Amenti Moheji Sepswell, our National Assistant Grand Chief of Morris America, and host and instructor of this most powerful class that we have in the name. Give honor to those that aided in bringing forth this class tonight. Give honor to those that gave their measures before me and all that will give their measures after me. Give honor to everything that is Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, our divine constitution, Holy Quran, Book of Ali, our 101, 102s, our exhuming of the nation, all of our divine revelation. I give honor. Give honor to the forerunner of our prophet, Dr. Marcus Mosigawa L., as well as I give honor to the ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon. We are the return of the ancient ones. Man, this is a powerful class. And I won't tarry because, yeah, I mean, you pretty much, you covered a lot of ground. I mean, you started, I remember, yeah, like Dr. Muhammad stated, you said, the mind will not accept, but one is unwilling to receive. And I'm still turning that over in my mind. You know what I mean? Because you got the mind and the one. But, you know, you went on, you talked about the Asiatic, you know what I mean, and the Muslim, you know, well, we're taught about that, you know, you said Muslim is the will of Allah, you know, in conformity. I think that was powerful. And you also said that, talked about the seat of consciousness, you know, and you went on and talked about obedience is better than sacrifice. And I thought that was real powerful. You know what I mean? Because when you obey, there's, you know, pretty much, is there a sacrifice? You know what I mean? But then one may look at it from wherever they are along the way. You know, but this is a powerful class. You know, like I said, you ended up with a bang, so to speak. So I talk about that sexuality. You know, and I read this in the Book of Fire before. You know, very very powerful. You know what I mean? And to accept no sex, you know what I mean? That's almost an impossibility for many of us. And I need to put this, you know, I need to put myself in these lessons, you know what I mean? I know it's a very powerful one because, you know, I wrestled with that for a while, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's all in, you know, in accordance with the mind, you know what I mean? Because the mind controls everything, you know what I mean? And so I'm so grateful for being in this Moorish American government and receiving these lessons, these teachings that the Prophet brought, because this is the only way that we're gonna save ourselves. You know what I mean? By taking these lessons and making them applicable. Because like you brought on, you know, you had that picture of the sister and the brother, you know what I mean? But we already know some men of our people are more European than the Europeans. So I mean, to me, like, I mean, it's like a hard pill to swallow for many of us because our people, that's where they are. You know what I mean? But like we, you know what I mean, it's come to my consciousness that, you know, our job is to bring the word, you know what I mean, to share the word, you know what I mean, to be the word, you know, and so as we do this, then Allah will sort out the rest, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because it's only so many, as they say, is going to be saved. Prophecy can count them on one hand and have things left over. You know what I mean? So all this stuff, you know, is very powerful. You got to think about the human calamity of things too. Man, it's just so powerful. I mean, we have a magnanimous job, and I won't go on and on because yeah, we well into the officials time. But it's so, I'm just so grateful for being here. You know what I mean? For having an opportunity, because those that haven't made it here yet, I don't think they don't have an opportunity. You know what I mean? It might be best for them not to hear the truth and then turn around and fall by climbing. But that's all up to the individual. You know what I mean? But praise Allah for sending us a prophet. You know what I mean? For, you know, erecting this Moorish American government, you know what I mean, where we can come and learn how to love instead of hate. You know what I mean? It's very powerful, you know. And that's what I like to say. Gratitude, God, man, for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
And gratitude to you as well, brother. Islam and peace for everything it is that you do, everything that it is that you've done. Consul General, powerful mission, Islam. All right. We got room for one more, and we go on to the officials. Islam. All right, going once. Going twice.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Cammy.
Islam. Yes, it's 9:20, so I'm gonna make it real quick. All right, this is Cammy. I rise, honor, and praise to great God Allah. I honor His Prophet Noble Drew Ali, officials, citizens, Moors here, there, and everywhere, especially my Moorish kin. We're studying weakness. Allah is not weak, and we are gods and goddesses. Function from your God state. Know that you are a god or a goddess, or a goddess, and look for that strength. Stay strong, Muslim. Gratitude.
Islam, and gratitude for that word, goddess and queen. Praise be to Allah. Islamism, grand words of encouragement. We will. Well, all right. Well, let us call forth our officials, starting with our Assistant Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Alseta Moon El. Islam, are you there, goddess and queen? Well, we know the sisters about the business of our Father God Allah, Islam. Well, let us call forth our National Grand Mufti then, Dr. Khonshu Ma'at Heru Bey. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Islam.
Islamism.
Gratitude. We
Gratitude.
rise, first and foremost, giving our thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, the most beneficent and the most wise, and we give the highest honors that we can give to His prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honor to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honor to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live. According to Act 6, we give honors to the officials of this said government, our divine ministers, swift angels, our mufti, our royal council, secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag and our divine constitution and bylaws, the Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the Exhument of a Nation. We give honors to everything that is the Moorish. We give a special honors to you, National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Amiti Ameti Shep Suel, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us, and to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honor to you, angels. We just continue to give the honors where they're due, honoring all true and divine prophets. And yes, we give honor to our ancestors as they have come before us, leading the way. We are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. Praise the Lord for that. And it's been a grand class, Muslim, and definitely you set out a grand measure for all Moorish Americans and sympathizing supporters alike to think about and contemplate on that weakness of man and each and every one of us when it comes to that carnal flesh, and understanding that this is a foe that man must learn to fight, until all his battles are won. We all have our vice. We all have, as they say, a weakness. When you ask one, someone might say it's chocolate. One might say it's fast cars. One might say it's gambling or whatever. But everyone has an in particular weakness. Now, giving this advice for something that they feel like their mental powers, those actions of the soul, as you were talking about, have no control over, that they can't resist, that they cannot, that they'll succumb to, or just say that they won't fall in love with. And this is where slavery comes in. This is where we go, or this is where we look at where false gods and idols come into play, and we find ourselves slaves to these vices, to the food, to the entertainment, to, as you said, whether it be the sex, the physical pleasure that ones get from the body. We end up becoming slaves to that demonstration, and we lose our real purpose. The real reason we was created by the great God Allah in that. And this is where, it's a sad case for us as a people, because we have so much greatness in us, so much genius in us, so much talent and possibilities in us, that to get lost in these vices, to get lost and become slave to these things that do not help you or help us achieve the highest within us is a true travesty. Because Allah has given us each a talent, each a gift, each something special that no one else has. And we need to share that with each other. We need to come together as a nation of people and share that. And that has to be done in understanding that we can't get caught up in a physical demonstration. Because this is where wars are started. When one get in their feelings, and when one think they possess somebody else, that's my one or that's my man, and now they ready to go to war. You done said something wrong, you done said something out of line, and now blood must be spilled. Or this is my little portion here, and you overstep, and that's a travesty. Because really, one is so caught up in the physical manifestation that they have forgot that this demonstration is going to be here long after you're gone. And that we got to move in an aspect of remembering that we want to a whole other stage. This transformation is guaranteed for us all. Father Time, or the Grand Reaper, whatever you want to call him, he's going undefeated. He's undefeated. Everybody has got a time. That time is going to come. And all these things that you try to hold on to, all the pleasure, all these devices, these things, they will be no more. And so we can't get caught up. And we have to try our best to not get caught up in that demonstration and the weaknesses of the flesh, because it's temporary. And, the consciousness that permeates through the entire universe is what's everlasting. You can dip into it now. Generations from now, they be able to dip into it, whether you're going to call it Cosmic Records or it gold accord, blood that binds everything together. And the divine harmony of the law of how the universe works, or whatever you want to call it. But it goes way beyond a physical understanding. And it's not bound by what they call the laws of physicality, physics, and gravity, and these things. It goes way beyond that. So this has been a grand class. We could definitely go on about how we definitely have to make sure we are evenly yoked, or we look to partner up with a man or a woman, depending on who you are, and understand that there's a divine masculine and feminine for a reason. And if you ain't messing with the divinity, if you're not looking for the divinity or basing the longevity of the divinity, then it's going to crumble just like the flesh will, just like anything material. So gratitude for the class and gratitude to you, Moorish America, for being here with us, giving us your time and attention and respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
Islam. And we give honors to you for that, Grand Mufti. Yeah, and on that note, we definitely second that. And you also got to be careful with them ones, brothers, sisters, that get out there and try to act like they in the knowledge, fake it till they make it. Because you got ones out there literally come up into the consciousness and act like they caring and learn a little language here and there, and they heart ain't really there. So yeah, it's out here. Islam. Gratitude. Well, all right. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at and Pooh Tooth the Coming Bay. Islamism, Goddess and Queen. You got that scimitar over there?
It's spoken in all Islam.
Islam.
Learn from the
Islam.
Islam voice. Praise the Lord. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Jerron Lee, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, with angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadowin Menti El Mohedded Chepsuel, for opening our meeting according to law, and also hosting this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Giving honor to our National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Sayanati Nuhat Haru El, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Giving honor to our family online and all of our Moorish kin. It's been a grand class, Dr. Shaheed. Much gratitude to you. Subject matter, truth is but one, thy doubts are of thine own raising. He who made virtues what they are, planted in thee a knowledge of their preeminence. Act as thy soul dictates to thee, and the end shall be always right. And when you were speaking about for something to become corrupt, someone has to infiltrate or usurp the throne and inject the demonstration with poison. And when the prophet is advising us to build a pure and clean nation, definitely we have got to deal with the study of the self. This is what the foes entail. It's, in essence, giving us a picture or a reflection of our special weaknesses and how we can eradicate it. The prophet said he brought us everything that it takes to save us as a nation. Take it and save yourself. I love the demonstration in reference to Abraham and Ishmael and the various words that you brought forth from the Arabic dictionary to give us a more in-depth meaning of the special foe of weakness. All of it, Moorish kin, is dealing with the study of the self. And what our goal is to get to a level of self-mastery, or being able to master the self, so that these special foes or weaknesses that we have will not have any effect on us. Because evil is not requisite to man, but we have to be able to identify with the particular foes in ourselves so that we can eradicate it. So when we look at being on the path of righteousness, you got to be able to discern that weakness within yourself. Resentment is also key, because a lot of times, and that's a form of hatred, that's a form of the lower self and an illusion. Especially when it comes down to relationships or how we deal with brothers and sisters, other nationalities, and things of that nature. We've got to be able to eradicate these things, or anything that's going to bring hatred or harm or destruction. When we look at out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. So no matter what point you are in your life, no matter where you are, you can correct it by you being a spirit and a part of the great God Allah. So the thought that you had maybe last month, and if you don't like where you are right now, then change the thought, which changes the condition. We've got to change perception first of all, who we are. By us being God, then we create our own heaven and hell. So are we going to choose to live in a hellish state of mind, or are we going to choose to live in a heavenly state of mind, which is dealing with bliss and contentment? But in order to be able to demonstrate that, you got to have gratitude. Even starting with, well, first of all, I'm breathing here on this plane. So clearly there's a mission for me to demonstrate and find out what that mission of divinity is. We look at letting our higher self be our guide, and doing what is right. We also have to recognize the fact that we've got to be honest with ourselves, okay? The sin lies in the wish and the desire, not in the act. So you don't have to actually go out there demonstrating prostitution, but if you lusting after things outside of the self, especially what you know that you can't have, then you got to correct the thought. This is between you and your creator, and you're not concerning yourself with who knows what and things of that nature. So if we don't address these weak areas in our character, then we destined to keep on repeating that lesson and that test until we get it right. That's why man tarries many ages until all of our lessons are learned. So the temptations, the negative thinking, we have got to be responsible for that, and our desires especially, and take it, you got the tools, learn how to use them, and demonstrate it on the self first. Then you can be in a position to come from a level of adeptness and mastery. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
Islamism. We give honors to your Grand Secretary of the State for that drawing. Made me think about the God. And ones don't know that. They think that when they was talking about the serpent and that one coming up in there, they really don't know that it was an act of infidelity, not against Adam. It was an act of infidelity against the great God Allah. They didn't even know it. Islamism without the schism, that's what happened when you fall. Well, let's talk about some rising over here. Man, my Grand National Secretary of the State just opened up the door for my Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acton Pert M. Heru, to the coming bay. Islam.
Can you hear me?
Man, I hear you loud and clear with angelic ears.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. All righty. I give praise to Allah, not the Prophet Noble Dwali, extend much honor to the Noble Dwali, the last prophet these days and time that was sent to his Moorish American master and brought us everything that it takes to save a nation. That's why we have our own flag, our own divine constitution. We even got our own God, history of our forefathers, divine constitution. Well, we got it all. The signs and symbols. All we got to do is give people an understanding. So it's a wonderful thing. And the good thing about this special chapter, the last ayat is like, truth is but one, and doubt is of your own raising. So if you got doubt, you doubt this, you don't like that. There ain't nobody raised that but you. So I want to ask you ahead of time, let's go back to the question earlier. Who made you? Well, if Allah made you, where did you get the doubt from then? So we want to leave that alone. So it's an honor, blessing. So, that he who made, as the record says here, he who made virtue what they are, planted in thee a knowledge of preeminence. Okay? So all you got to do now is act as your soul dictate to you. And the end shall always come out right. So it's an honor, blessing, Moors, that we have these great lessons. Give much honor to the last prophet these days and time for bringing us everything. Islamism without the schism.
Islamism without that schism. We give honors to your chairman. Knowledge means to know, and to know means to apply. Man, the prophet brought us something, man, that they can't tear up. It'll tear them up now. Islamism without the schism. Well, at this time, I know my national grand sheik, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. I know he right there on the front line. Islam, you there, Grand Sheik? Dr. Serapis Amin Rael, National Grand Sheik of Moorish America. Give him a little time, Morris Ken, and sometimes it's
Islam, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we hear you now. Islam, let me get out the way.
Yes, man. Islam, thank you, grand man. All you do. We rise once again and give a lot of praise. Highest honor to his love cause and his industrious ways, our brother man and prophet. With Drew Ali, who came 5 times more powerful to set us all free. Thank you, prophet. Honest to lessons in this class this evening, and all the more here, there, and everywhere. This has been a grand presentation, Chief, and truly something to go back and investigate a little bit further. We know that we have laws in our government that governs the people, and the people govern themselves by these laws. And just like in says, it's not in the flesh to think, nor is it in the bones to reason. Well, it shows us that he was thinking backwards before the prophet found us. You know, when we start thinking from the spirit at first to the soul, and we're coming out, it's all gonna come out right. And when you go thinking about the flesh before the spirit, before you tangle yourself up in a thought process of the flesh, and you're gonna get in trouble. And this demonstration here, as the sheik pointed out on several occasions, about it's not in the soul to give one a drawing of what the best state of things would be, because one found out that it's not in the soul to wonder in the context of, oh, look at this over there, look at that. You're not supposed to be doing those things if you are married or obligated to another one. You don't look at your sister like that. You don't look at your brother like that. This is what the lesson of the spirit comes in at. You're looking at the spirit aspect of it, and you stay in your spirit. If you stay in the law, then these things will never occur. And so I'm glad we had this class this evening, and we should let it down again and again and again until we get it all right. Thanks a lot. Graduated 15, 1929. I wanted from the prophet. We read in all meetings. I hereby inform all citizens who are seeing all radical, agitated speeches while they're working on the street. Stop the peace and not destruction. Stop blasting your cars in European. It causes confusion. Remember, your car is for your salvation. Thank you, obey these orders will feel severe consequences. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then will take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens for all malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward of Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down in them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, should have turned in their guard but he's one of the turbulent affairs and return to the state where the prophet found him. This is the holy Lamb when we're founded by the prophet. So with Drew Ali, the prophet is not right, the government is not right. Therefore, it's turning out to be bad, please, to all Moorish Americans that they do their part, protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet to the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by all the prophets. And with Drew Ali, this divine warning is supreme laws now and will be enforced by the said government hereby. Islam, Islam, Islam. You are the children of one father, provided for by his care, rest one mother, and given you son. The minds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house, and when you separate in the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger for thy own blood. Thy brothers in adversity have said to him, unless it is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of this whole race, and his care be continued to you all, your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2 of our divine Constitution, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Praise Allah, long live Moisture Maggie. This meeting is officially closed. Islam. Islam.
Oh, great class, great
Great
class.
class. Islam is grand class, y'all. Good job. Love family. Peace and love. Love y'all. Islam.
Islamism, the prophet said, with these lessons you can set your house in order, Moors. Islam. Peace and love. We love you, Moors. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. I'm telling you, don't let nobody tell you nothing different. Islam. Peace and love. See y'all in Sunday school tomorrow. That's where the guys and the guys of the nation come from. Islam. I love you too, family. I want to give honors to our family too that showed up out there in social media. As always, we got our family checking in all the way from the United Kingdom. Praise be to Allah. They hear us all over the world. Tarif Bay, the Nato Bosco, who it is, Noble Bryan, Charles Royale, Marquise Born Dog, creator of the Boundless Universe, Jehudi Bay. We love all of y'all, family. That's right. You can't put a price tag on respect. Islam, we love you, family.
Live and kicking. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.